Tyler Davenport's hand trembled as he clutched the delicate silver necklace, the only thing she'd left behind. Outside his penthouse window, the city glittered like scattered diamonds, but all he saw was her face. 10 years, 3,650 days, of wondering if she was alive, if she thought of him, if she ever regretted vanishing without a single word. The necklace caught the light, and for a moment he could almost feel her warmth beside him again. He set the necklace down on his mahogany desk and reached for the business proposal his assistant had delivered that morning. Davenport Innovations was funding the city's largest urban renewal project, and the architectural firm had just submitted their lead designer's portfolio. Tyler flipped open the leather folder absently, his mind still lost in memories of late-night study sessions, stolen kisses in the campus library, dreams whispered under starlit skies. Then he saw the name, Amina Hart. The folder slipped from his fingers, papers scattering across the Persian rug. His heart hammered against his ribs as he dropped to his knees, gathering the documents with shaking hands. There, in crisp professional photographs, was the woman who had haunted his dreams for a decade. Older now, her face carrying a maturity that somehow made her even more beautiful, but unmistakably her. Same dark eyes that used to light up when she talked about designing buildings that could change lives. Same determined set to her jaw. Same Amina. Tyler stumbled to his desk and pressed the intercom. His voice came out hoarse. "Jennifer, get me everything on the Heart project, and I want a meeting scheduled. Tomorrow. First thing." Across the city, Amina Hart stood in her modest apartment, staring at the same project folder. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd known taking this job meant returning to the city where she'd left her heart buried, but she hadn't expected Davenport Innovations to be the primary funder. She hadn't let herself think about what it would mean to possibly see Tyler again. "You're being ridiculous," she muttered to herself, pacing the hardwood floor. "It's a huge company. You probably won't even cross paths. He's a billionaire now. He probably doesn't even remember." But she couldn't finish the lie. Tyler Davenport wasn't the kind of man anyone forgot, and she knew with a certainty that made her chest ache that he hadn't forgotten her either. Not after what they'd shared. Not after the way she disappeared. She picked up her phone 3 times to call her supervisor and quit. 3 times she set it back down. This project could make her career. She'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much to let fear stop her now. Even if that fear had a name. Even if that fear had Tyler's deep brown eyes and the kind of smile that used to make her believe in forever. The next morning, Amina arrived at the Davenport Tower 30 minutes early. The building soared into the sky like a cathedral of glass and steel, a monument to everything Tyler had become. She remembered when they'd been broke college students and he'd sketched his dreams on napkins at the campus diner. Now those dreams towered over the entire city. "Miss Hart?" A polished woman in her 40s approached with an extended hand. "I'm Jennifer Costa, Mr. Davenport's executive assistant. He's eager to review your designs." Amina's stomach dropped. "Mr. Davenport will be attending the presentation?" "Of course. He oversees all major projects personally." Jennifer's smile was professional and completely oblivious to the panic rising in Amina's throat. "This way, please." The conference room was all floor-to-ceiling windows and modern minimalism. Amina set up her presentation with trembling fingers, grateful that her team of 4 other architects provided a buffer. She positioned herself in the middle of the group, hoping to blend in, to be just another face. Then the door opened. Time stopped. Tyler Davenport walked in wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car, and for a moment he was just Tyler again, the boy who'd held her during thunderstorms, the man who'd promised her forever on a beach at sunrise. His hair was shorter now, touched with distinguished gray at the temples. His shoulders broader, but his eyes, those eyes found hers across the room, and the entire world fell away. The portfolio in his hand slipped, hitting the conference table with a sharp crack. His lips parted as if to speak, but no sound emerged. Around them, executives and architects shifted uncomfortably, glancing between their frozen CEO and the architect who looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Tyler," Amina whispered. She hadn't meant to speak, hadn't meant to use his first name in front of his entire staff, but seeing him after all these years shattered every professional boundary she'd tried to construct. "Everyone out." Tyler's voice was barely controlled, rough with emotion. "Now." "Sir, the presentation," someone started. "Out." The command ricocheted off the windows. The room cleared in seconds. Jennifer cast Amina a curious look before closing the door, leaving them alone in the sudden suffocating silence. Tyler moved toward her slowly, as if approaching something that might disappear if he moved too fast. 10 years, he said, his voice breaking on the words. 10 years, Amina. You just vanished. No call, no letter, no explanation. I searched for you. I hired investigators. I thought... He stopped, jaw clenching. I thought you were dead. Amina's eyes burned with tears she'd promised herself she wouldn't cry. Tyler, I'm so sorry. I never wanted... Sorry? The word exploded from him. Sorry? Do you have any idea what you did to me? I loved you. We were supposed to get married. We were supposed to build a life together. And you disappeared like I meant nothing. You meant everything. The words ripped from her throat. You think leaving you was easy? You think I haven't. Spent every single day of the last 10 years regretting... She choked on the emotion, pressing her palms against her eyes. I had to leave. I had to protect you. Protect me from what? Tyler closed the distance between them, and she could smell his cologne, achingly familiar. Talk to me, Amina. After all this time, I deserve the truth. She looked up at him, and the longing in his face nearly broke her. I can't. Tyler, please. I took this job because I thought I could avoid you. I thought I could just do the work and leave. I can't do this. I can't. She ran, grabbed her laptop and ran, ignoring his shout of her name, ignoring the confused faces in the hallway. She ran until she reached the street, gasping for air, tears streaming down her face. 10 years she'd been running, but Tyler Davenport wasn't someone you could outrun. He found her 3 blocks away, leaning against a building, trying to catch her breath. He discarded his suit jacket somewhere, his tie loosened, looking more like the Tyler she'd known than the billionaire CEO. Don't run from me again, he said quietly, and there was such pain in his voice that she couldn't move. Please, Amina, just tell me why. I've spent 10 years wondering what I did wrong, how I failed you, if you ever loved me at all. I loved you more than my own life, she whispered. That's why I left. Tyler stared at her, confusion and frustration warring across his features. That makes no sense. My family was in trouble. The words came slowly, each one costing her. My father borrowed money from the wrong people. Dangerous people. A man named Marcus Reeves. He came to me 2 weeks before our wedding, showed me pictures of you, at the gym, at work, at your apartment. He knew everything about you, Tyler. He said if I didn't disappear, if I didn't leave the city and never contact you again, he'd hurt you. He'd kill you. Tyler's face went pale. What? He had men with guns. He showed me what they'd done to other people who didn't cooperate. I couldn't risk it. I couldn't let anything happen to you. So I left. Amina's voice broke. I left the man I loved more than anything in this world, because keeping you alive was more important than my own happiness. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. I could have protected us. You were 25 years old and broke, Tyler. We both were. What were you going to do against armed criminals? I couldn't take that chance. I couldn't let you die because of my family's mistakes. Tyler ran his hands through his hair, pacing on the sidewalk as people streamed past them. So you've been hiding for 10 years? Running? I moved to another state. Changed my phone number. I paid off my father's debt working 3 jobs. It took me 5 years, but I cleared it. Marcus Reeves went to prison 4 years ago on other charges. I've been checking every year to make sure it was safe to come back. This project, She took a shuddering breath. It's my chance to have a real career again. But I never expected to see you. Tyler stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. His anger seemed to drain away, replaced by something deeper and more complex. You were protecting me? With everything I had. Amina? He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the silver flecks in his dark eyes. I'm not 25 and broke anymore. If there's still danger, I can protect you now. I have security, resources, everything. Marcus is in prison. It's over. Are you sure? The question hung between them. Amina wanted to say yes, but uncertainty flickered through her. She'd been so careful for so long. Had she really checked thoroughly enough? Come work on this project, Tyler said suddenly. Use Davenport Tower as your base. My security is the best in the city. If there's even a chance someone might still be looking for you, I want you protected. Tyler, I can't just... Please. The single word held a decade of longing. Give me a chance to keep you safe the way you tried to keep me safe. You disappeared to protect me. Let me return the favor." Amina studied his face, seeing the boy she'd loved in the man he'd become. "This doesn't mean we can go back to what we were. Too much time has passed." "I know." But his eyes said he wanted to try anyway. Against her better judgment, against every warning voice in her head, Amina nodded. "Okay, but just for the project. Professional only." Tyler's slight smile said he didn't believe that any more than she did. The next 2 weeks fell into a careful rhythm. Amina worked from a secured office in Davenport Tower, her designs flourishing with access to Tyler's resources. They maintained professional distance during the day, but the tension between them was palpable. Every accidental touch in the hallway sent electricity through her. Every time their eyes met across a conference room, 10 years collapsed into nothing. Then the first threat arrived. Amina arrived at the construction site early one morning to find her scale model destroyed, pieces scattered across the ground. The security guard had seen nothing. The cameras had been disabled. Someone had known exactly how to slip through the safety net. Tyler studied the wreckage with a grim expression, his security chief beside him. This was targeted. Professional. "Maybe it's just vandalism," Amina suggested, but her voice shook. "You don't believe that." Tyler turned to her, and she saw real fear in his eyes. "Pack a bag. You're moving into one of my penthouses. 24-hour security." "Tyler, that's excessive." "Is it?" He gestured at the destruction. "Someone knew you'd be here. They knew where you worked. This isn't random, Amina, and I'm not losing you again." The next day, another incident. Someone slashed the tires on her car in the tower's parking garage, a garage with supposedly impenetrable security. A message was spray-painted on her windshield. "You can't hide forever." Amina stared at the words, her blood running cold. "Marcus is in prison," she whispered. "Oh, I checked. I know he is." "But does he have partners, associates who might hold a grudge?" Tyler's jaw was set in a hard line. "My penthouse. Tonight, I'm not asking anymore." She wanted to argue, but the fear was too real now. Someone was targeting her. Someone who knew who she was and where to find her. Tyler's penthouse was a study in modern luxury, all clean lines and expensive art, but Amina barely noticed the decor. She stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking down at the city lights, feeling like a prisoner in a gilded cage. "I have security running background checks on everyone associated with Marcus Reeves," Tyler said from across the room. "We'll figure out who's behind this." "You shouldn't have to do this," Amina said softly. "I brought this danger into your life. Again." "No." Tyler crossed to her, and this time he didn't maintain the careful distance. He stood close enough that she could feel his warmth. "You didn't bring danger. You tried to protect me from it. There's a difference." She turned to face him, and the longing in his eyes stole her breath. "Tyler, I never stopped loving you," he said quietly. 10 years, 100 women who weren't you, an empire I built thinking that success might fill the hole you left. But nothing worked. Because you weren't just the woman I loved, Amina. You were the dream, and I've been living in a nightmare since you left." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I never stopped loving you either. Every day I wanted to call. Every night I dreamed about coming back. But I was so scared of bringing that danger back to you." Tyler reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and gently wiped her tears with his thumb. "We lost 10 years. I don't want to lose another minute." When he kissed her, it was like coming home. Like every piece of her that had been scattered and lost, suddenly clicking back into place. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him back with 10 years of longing, of regret, of love that had never died, no matter how hard she tried to bury it. They broke apart slowly, foreheads pressed together, breathing hard. "Stay with me," Tyler whispered, "not just because of the danger. Stay because this is where you belong, where you've always belonged." "I'm scared," she admitted, "scared of what this means. Scared of losing you again. Then we'll be scared together." He pulled her close and she let herself sink into his embrace. "But I promise you, Amina Hart, no one is taking you away from me again. Not without going through me first." They spent that night talking, really talking for the first time in 10 years. Amina told him about the lonely years in a strange city, working herself to exhaustion to pay off her father's debt. Tyler told her about building his company, about the nights he'd sat in his office holding her necklace, about the marriage proposals he'd turned down because no one else was her. "I kept all your sketches," he admitted around midnight, pulling out a leather portfolio from his study. "Every design you ever showed me. Every dream you ever shared. I funded 3 buildings based on your concepts. I told the architects they were mine, but they were always yours." Amina stared at the familiar sketches, her eyes filling with tears. "Tyler, I built the life we planned together. I just had to do it alone." He took her hands. "But you're here now. And maybe we can't get back the years we lost, but we can build something new, something even better." She wanted to believe it, wanted to believe they could overcome a decade of separation and pain. But doubt still whispered in the back of her mind. The next morning, Tyler's security chief delivered news. One of Marcus Reeves's former associates, a man named Derek Chen, had been released from prison 2 months ago. Chen had a reputation for holding grudges and a history of tracking down people he felt had wronged his former boss. "We have his last known location," the security chief said. "I've contacted the police." But Chen moved first. He showed up at the construction site the next day when Amina arrived early, before Tyler's security detail had taken position. She walked across the lot, reviewing plans on her tablet, and didn't see him until he grabbed her arm. "Remember me?" Chen's voice was cold, his grip bruised. "Marcus says hello from his cell." Amina tried to scream, but Chen's hand covered her mouth. He dragged her toward a waiting van, and terror froze her blood. This was it. This was what she'd feared for 10 years. Then Tyler's voice cut through the morning air. "Let her go." Chen spun, keeping Amina as a shield. Tyler stood 20 feet away, flanked by 4 security guards, but his eyes were locked on Amina's, and in them she saw absolute determination. "Back off, billionaire," Chen snarled, "unless you want to see what happens to people who cross Marcus Reeves." "Marcus Reeves is in prison, and you're about to join him." Tyler's voice was ice. "You have 3 seconds to release her before my security team makes you. You think you can threaten me? I've killed for less. I'm not threatening." Tyler stepped forward, and Amina saw something dangerous flash in his eyes. "I'm promising. You touch her again, and I will use every resource, every connection, every dollar I have to make sure you never see sunlight outside a prison cell again." Chen's grip tightened on Amina's arm, and she whimpered. That sound seemed to break something in Tyler. He launched forward, and the security team moved as one. The next 30 seconds were chaos, Chen releasing Amina to defend himself, Tyler pulling her behind him, security guards restraining Chen with professional efficiency. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Chen fought and cursed, but he was outmatched. Within minutes, he was in handcuffs, being read his rights. Tyler turned to Amina, his hands framing her face, his eyes wild with fear. "Are you hurt? Did he hurt you?" "I'm okay." But she was shaking, adrenaline and terror flooding her system. "Tyler, you could have been killed." "I told you." His voice was fierce. "No one takes you from me again. No one." Then she was in his arms and she was crying, and he was holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "It's over," he whispered into her hair. "Chen's going back to prison. Marcus has no more associates on the outside. You're safe now. You're finally safe." The relief was overwhelming. 10 years of fear, of looking over her shoulder, of sacrificing her happiness for safety, it all crashed over her at once. She clung to Tyler and sobbed, letting out a decade of pain. That night, back in Tyler's penthouse, they sat together on the couch as the city lights glittered below. Amina was wrapped in a blanket, drinking tea that Tyler had made her. The trauma of the morning was starting to fade, replaced by a strange sense of peace. "I need to tell you something," Tyler said quietly, "and I need you to really hear me." Amina set down her tea and turned to face him. "When you left 10 years ago, I was devastated. Broken. For months, I couldn't function. My business partners almost gave up on me. But eventually, I channeled that pain into building something. I worked 18-hour days because going home to an empty apartment was unbearable. I made millions because making money was easier than feeling the grief of losing you." He took her hands. "But none of it meant anything. Every success felt hollow because you weren't there to share it. Every achievement was just a reminder of what I'd lost. I told myself that if you ever came back, if I ever got a second chance, I wouldn't waste it. I wouldn't let fear or pride or anything else keep me from fighting for us. Tyler, I love you, Amina. I've loved you since we were stupid college kids who thought we could change the world. I loved you through 10 years of absence. I loved you when I thought I'd never see you again. And now that you're here, now that you're safe, I'm not letting you go. Not now. Not ever." Amina felt tears sliding down her cheeks again. I love you too. I never stopped. Even when leaving you destroyed me. Even when I thought I'd lost my chance at happiness, I loved you. Then marry me. The words were simple, direct, and completely serious. I know it's fast. I know we need time to heal and rebuild. But I wasted 10 years. I'm not wasting another day. Marry me, Amina Hart. Not next year. Not when everything is perfect. Now. Because life is short and unpredictable, and the only thing I'm certain of is that I want to spend every remaining moment with you. She stared at him, her heart pounding. A sensible person would say it was too soon. They needed therapy, time, space to process everything that had happened. But Amina had spent 10 years being sensible, being careful, protecting herself and Tyler from danger, and she was tired of being sensible. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Tyler pulled her into his arms and kissed her with such intensity that the world spun. When they broke apart, both were laughing and crying at the same time. I have something for you, Tyler said. He stood and crossed to his desk, opening a drawer. When he returned, he held the silver necklace she'd left behind 10 years ago. I've kept this safe for you, waiting for the day I could give it back. Amina's hand trembled as she took it. The delicate chain was still perfect, the small pendant catching the light. You kept it all this time. It was all I had left of you. Tyler fastened it around her neck, his fingers lingering on her skin. But now I have you back. The real you. And I'm never letting go. 2 weeks later, they stood on the rooftop of Davenport Tower at sunrise. Tyler had transformed the space into the garden they'd dreamed about in college, the one they'd sketched on napkins and promised to build together someday. White flowers bloomed in carefully tended beds. A small fountain gurgled peacefully, and in the center, beneath an arch of climbing roses, they exchanged vows. It was a small ceremony, just a few close friends and Tyler's executive team. Amina's family was there too, her father with tears streaming down his face, apologizing again for the choices that had cost his daughter 10 years of happiness. I forgive you, Amina told him, meaning it. The past is over. Today is about the future. When the officiant pronounced them married, Tyler kissed his wife like a man who'd been starving and finally found sustenance. The small crowd applauded, but Amina barely heard them. All she could hear was Tyler's voice whispering against her lips. Finally, you're finally mine again. At the reception, Tyler pulled her aside to a quiet corner of the rooftop. He handed her a folder similar to the portfolio he'd shown her weeks ago. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside were architectural plans, complex, beautiful designs for a new building, but they weren't Tyler's usual style. They were hers. Every line, every curve was based on the sketches she'd made in college. I've been working on this for 5 years, Tyler said. The Amina Hart Center for Urban Innovation, a building designed to bring communities together, to create spaces where people can dream and build and grow. Everything you always wanted to create. Amina's hands shook as she studied the plans. It was perfect. It was her dream made real. And here's the best part, Tyler continued. You're going to design it. Actually design it this time, with your name on it. The construction firm has already been hired. The funding is secure. The city council approved the plans last month. I was just waiting for you to come home so you could bring your vision to life. Tyler. She couldn't find the words, couldn't express what this meant. You gave up 10 years for me, he said simply. I'm giving you the rest of our lives, to pursue every dream you've ever had. Starting with this one. Amina threw her arms around his neck, kissing him as the sun rose higher over the city. Around them, their friends and family celebrated. Below them, the city awakened to a new day. And for the first time in 10 years, Amina felt truly, completely home. No more running? Tyler whispered against her hair. No more running? She agreed. They stayed on that rooftop until the sun was high in the sky, talking about the future, making plans, laughing about the past. Tyler showed her more designs, a house he wanted to build for them, offices for her architectural firm, projects they could collaborate on. You've been planning this for years, Amina realized. I never stopped believing you'd come back. Tyler kissed her forehead. Call it faith, call it obsession, call it love. But I knew, somewhere in my soul I knew, that we weren't finished, that our story wasn't over. It's not over, Amina said softly, looking out over the city. It's just beginning again. And as they stood together on that rooftop, two people who'd loved and lost and found each other again, the future stretched before them bright and full of possibility. They'd lost 10 years, yes, but they had 50 more to build together. 50 years to create, to dream, to love without fear. Tyler Davenport had waited 10 years for the woman he loved to come home, and Amina Hart had spent 10 years running to protect the man she couldn't live without. But the running was over now. The waiting was finished. All that remained was the rest of their lives, and they intended to make every moment count. Love that survives a decade of separation, that weathers threats and danger and impossible odds, is love meant to last forever. And as the sun rose higher over the city, Tyler and Amina began writing the next chapter of their story. Together finally at last. If this story touched your heart, please hit that subscribe button and join our community. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about Tyler and Amina's journey. Would you wait 10 years for the one you love? And don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who believes in second chances and the power of love that refuses to give up. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more stories that inspire and move you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep believing in love that never gives up.